But further, you may be convinced of your actual sins, so as to be made to tremble, and yet you may be strangers to Jesus Christ. You may have no true work of grace upon your hearts. Before ever, therefore, you can speak peace to your hearts. Conviction must go deeper. You must not only be convinced of your actual transgressions against the law of God, but likewise of the foundation of all your transgressions. And what is that? I mean original sin, that original corruption each of us brings into the world with us, which renders us liable to God's wrath and damnation at every moment. There are many poor souls that think themselves fine reasoners, yet they pretend to say there's no such thing as original sin. They'll charge God with injustice in imputing Adam's sin to us, although we've got the mark of the beast and the devil upon us, yet they tell us we're not born in sin. Let them look abroad into the world and see what disorders be upon it, and think, if they can, if this be the paradise in which God did put man. No, everything in the world is out of order. I've often thought, when I was abroad, that if there were no other argument to prove original sin, the rising of wolves and tigers against man, nay, the barking of a dog against us, is proof of original sin. Tigers and lions durst not rise against us if it were not for Adam's first sin. For when the creatures rise up against us, it is as much as to say, you have sinned against God, and we take up our master's quarrel. If we look inwardly, we shall see enough of lusts and man's temper, contrary to the temper of God. There's pride and malice, revenge in all our hearts. And this temper cannot come from God. It comes from our first parent, Adam, who, after he fell from God, fell out of God into the devil. However, therefore, some people may deny this, yet when conviction comes, all carnal reasonings are battered down immediately, and the poor soul begins to feel and see the fountain from which all the polluted streams do flow. When the sinner is first awakened, he begins to wonder, how came I to be so wicked? The Spirit of God then strikes in and shows he has no good thing in him by nature. Then he sees he is altogether gone out of the way. He is altogether become abominable. The poor creature is made to lie down at the foot of the throne of God and to acknowledge that God would be just to damn him, just to cut him off, though he had never committed one actual sin in his life. Did you ever feel and experience this, any of you? To justify God in your damnation, to own that you are by nature children of wrath, that God may justly cut you off, though you never actually had offended him in all your life. If you were ever truly convicted, if your hearts were ever truly cut, if self were truly taken out of you, you would be made to see and feel this. And if you've never felt the weight of original sin, do not call yourself Christians. I'm verily persuaded original sin is the greatest burden of the true convict. This ever grieves the regenerate soul, the sanctified soul. The indwelling of sin in the heart is the burden of the converted person. It is the burden of the true Christian. He continually cries out, "Oh, who will deliver me from the body of this death?" This indwelling corruption in my heart. This is that which disturbs a poor soul most. And therefore, if you never felt this inward corruption, if you never saw that God might justly curse you for it, indeed, my dear friends, you may speak peace to your hearts, but I fear, nay, I know, there is no true peace. Further, before you can speak peace to your hearts, you must not only be troubled for the sins of your life, the sins of your nature, but likewise for the sins of your best duties and performances. When a poor soul is somewhat awakened by the terrors of the Lord, then the poor creature, being born under the covenant of works, flies directly to a covenant of works again. And as Adam and Eve hid themselves among the trees of the garden and sewed fig leaves together to cover their nakedness, so the poor sinner, when awakened, flies to his duties and to his performances to hide himself from his God. and goes to patch up a righteousness of his own. Says he, I will be mighty good now. I will reform. I will do all I can. And then certainly Jesus Christ will have mercy on me. But before you can speak peace to your heart, you must be brought to see that God may damn you for your best prayer you ever put up. You must be brought to see that all your duties, all your righteousnesses, as the prophet elegantly expresses it, put them all together, are so far from recommending you to God, are so far from being any motive or inducement to God to have mercy on your poor soul, that he will see them to be filthy rags, a minstrous cloth, that God hates them and cannot away with them if you bring them to him in order to recommend you to his favor. My dear friends, what is there in our performances to recommend us to God? Our persons are in an unjustified state by nature. We deserve to be damned 10,000 times over. And what must our performances be? What can do no good thing by nature? They that are in the flesh cannot please God. You may do things materially good, but you cannot do a thing formally and rightly good, because nature cannot act above itself. It is impossible that a man who is unconverted can act for the glory of God. He cannot do anything in faith. And whatsoever is not of faith is sin. After we are renewed, yet we are renewed but in part. Indwelling sin continues in us. There's a mixture of corruption in every one of our duties, so that after we are converted, were Jesus Christ only to accept us according to our works would damn us. For we cannot put up a prayer, but it is far from that perfection which the moral law requireth. I do not know what you may think, but I can say that I cannot pray but I sin. I cannot preach to you or any others but I sin. I can do nothing without sin, and as one expresses it, my repentance wants to be repented of, my tears to be washed in the precious blood of my dear Redeemer. Our best duties are as so many splendid sins. Before you can speak peace in your heart, you must not only be made sick of your original and actual sin, but you must be made sick of your righteousness and all your duties and performances. There must be a deep conviction before you can be brought out of your self-righteousness. It is the last idol taken out of our heart. The pride of our heart will not let us submit to the righteousness of Jesus Christ. But if you never felt that you had no righteousness of your own, if you never felt the deficiency of your own righteousness, you will not come to Jesus Christ. There are a great many now who may say, well, we believe all this, but there's a great difference between talking and feeling. Did you ever feel the want of a dear Redeemer? Did you ever feel the want of Jesus Christ upon the account of the deficiency of your own righteousness? Can you now say from the heart, Lord, thou mayest justly damn me for my best duties that ever I did perform? If you are not thus brought out of self, you may speak peace to yourselves, but yet there's no peace. The sin of unbelief. But then, before you can speak peace to your souls, there's one particular sin you must be greatly troubled for. Yet I fear